more often than not, when we create a programming project, it's going to spread the code across multiple files, and so we need to learn how to deal with that. Usually what's going to happen is your classes are going to be in one file. They might even each get their own separate files. Some of your functions might be broken out into their own files, and so on and so forth. And then you have a main file that runs everything. So in this lecture, we're going to look at how exactly to work with that. We're going to quickly recap all of our classes that we have here. You can see that I've broken them out into character.py and main.py. This is a very important thing to do. I've also extended this out to be a little bit more substantial. So looking at character.py, we've got all of our functions code folded. This is a feature of most code editors where you can use these arrows off to the side inside the margin for folding your code or hiding the contents of a code block. We don't necessarily want to see every last bit of our code, so this is a nice little handy tool. So looking at each of our functions, we have an inventory item that contains a name and a quantity. We have a character class that contains a name, species, and hit point value. We also have our player character that derives itself from our character class using the character constructor to set name, species, and HP. And then we add an inventory to this. This class also has an add item function. Now it is given a name and a quantity. It looks to see if that name is present in the inventory list, and if it is, then we just increase that quantity. Otherwise, we create a whole new item and add it to the list. So 3 very simple classes, and now we want to use them inside of our main. Because if you look over here, these are all now errors. We will have to import our character classes and our inventory item class into our main.py. The first thing is when you're working with a multi-file project, all of your files need to be in the same place. Otherwise, you're going to have to do some extra steps in order to move everything into your main.py. So you can see here I've broken out the code from the last few examples into character and main.py. And I've put them both in the character classes folder. So this is going to make importing vastly easier, because all we have to do is say from character classes import, and we say we want to import inventory item, comma, character. And we'll stop there because we actually want to use multiple, we want to use a different name for our player character class. This is a bit of an issue. I think we have to wrap this in quotation marks. No? What does it say we need to do? Import character classes, could not find... Will be resolved. Let's see. How do we go about fixing this? Let's double check. Oh, it's because it's character.py. Duh. From character, there we go. We import inventory, item, and character. And we're going to do this again from character, import player character as, let's just say, player. All right, so now we've done our imports. Let's take this one piece at a time. So from chooses our file. We only need to give the file name. We don't need to give the py. import, we're going to pull some code in from the character file, and it's going to be the classes inventory item and character. From here, we're going to do this again from character. We want to bring in the player character class, and we want to give it the name player within our code. So now all we have to do is fix this here, remove that, and this ought to work. So we save, and let's run this. Python main.py, and would you look at that? There is our character info printed just like it was before. And that's all there really is to importing, at least when we are talking about code files that we make. As we go through and we do more of these extras, we're going to take a look at importing built-in things. We're going to talk about importing libraries within Python, things that we've installed to our machine. And in fact, we're going to do that next. We're going to have an import part 2 where we bring in an external library. In our case, we're going to bring in random, and we're going to randomize each of these. We're going to randomize each of these quantity values. So, stick around for that.